Finding the coordinates of a point reflected across an x-axis. Sorry, across an axis, not just the x-axis. So in this one, we're going to give the coordinates of a point obtained from each reflection. So we've done quite a few of these at this point with reflection. So remember, reflection just means that I'm taking a figure and I'm using my hand because it's super easy to show you. And we're pretending like there's a line right here, and I'm going to reflect it over that line. So I kind of flip it over the line. Translating, because that's different, you don't want to move it over like this. That's translating. My thumbs are in the same direction here. Reflection means I literally flip it over the line. So that's all we're doing with these points, is we're just flipping it over the different axes. So first, this one says reflect the point -4, -6 across the x-axis. What points do you get? Or what point do you get? And then not from the new point, but go back to the original and say, okay, now reflect it across the y-axis, and what point do you get? So this is us starting to build the rules for reflection, because we don't always need to see the graph in order to do this. Now, is it a little easier sometimes to see the graph? Yes, but there is actually a rule for this. So this is the beginning of building that rule. So down here, it shows you we're taking -6, -4, and they reflected it across the x-axis, which they have in red here. To reflect it, we want to make sure it's the same units away from the line. So in this case, this is -6 down or below the red line. I want to go 6 above the line. And then I go ahead and I write that point in here. So this is my coordinate when I reflect it across the x-axis. Now when I reflect it across the y-axis, which they made red here, which is nice, I can see that I'm starting here and I want to see how far away am I from the red line. I'm 4 units to the left, so I want to go 4 units to the right. So that's all we're doing. We're just figuring out what is the coordinate when I reflect this. All right, so give the coordinates obtained from each reflection. So this is going to be the exact same directions for each one. Oh, you know what? So they are not giving you the graph, which is what I thought they might do. So we're going to have to think about it based on what they're giving us here. So it says reflect the point 3, -8 across the y-axis. Now, can you draw this? Of course you can. But remember, we have a y, which I'll put in red, and we have an x-axis, which is kind of a blue purplish color there. All right, so here are our 2 axes that we're going to be reflecting across. So first, let's focus on the y. So if we're reflecting across the y, and we can even throw some dots on here so that we kind of can see it. So we end up going 3, -8, like this. So here's 3, -8. And I want to reflect it across the red line. Well, how far away is it from the red line? I had to go over 3. So I want to go away from it this way, the same number of units. So I want to go to the left 3, but I still have to come down to the same point. So -8. So if you notice, what's changing when I reflect it over the y-axis? Only the x-coordinate, and it's just flipping from positive to negative. So if I do this same thing, let's see, what color can I put this in? We will put this in kind of a pretty blue here. So the next one, we're going to do the same thing. So I have 3 and I have -8. That's my original point here. And this time I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis. So I need to figure out how far away is it from that line. So I had to come down to -8. So I want to go up to 8. But I still have to come over to 3. All I'm doing is flipping it over the line. So I'm going to go over to 3, and I'm going to go up to 8 instead of down. So now what's changing? Only the y is changing. So y coordinate flips sign. And in this case, the x coordinate flips. Dang it. Don't know why I put an extra I in there. Flips sign. So that's a very simple way for me to put that. But if I'm flipping over the y-axis, the x coordinate's going to flip its sign. If I'm flipping over the y or the x-axis, the y coordinate flips. So whichever axis I'm flipping over, if it's y, I change the x. If it's x, I change the y. So it's a very easy pattern for me to follow there so that you don't necessarily have to graph it each and every time. So again, this is the y, so I'm going to change the x, but the y stays the same. And if I'm going over the x, then I change the y, but the x stays the same. So whichever one we're flipping over, that coordinate stays, the other coordinate flips signs. So again, it's just kind of an easy way for us to remember without having to graph it each and every time. Unless I type it in incorrectly. What did I type in incorrectly? -3, -8. And oh, -3, 8. I put the negative in there. I wasn't paying attention because I was talking too much. So 3 was supposed to stay the same. 8 was supposed to flip positive, and I accidentally typed in as a negative. That's what I did. All right. So as long as you type it in correctly, it does work. Okay, so we're flipping over the x-axis. So the x is going to stay the same, but y would flip signs. In this case, y is 0. Am I going to write -0? No, I'm just going to leave it as 0. So now I'm going to flip it over the y-axis. So remember, y is going to stay the same, but x is going to flip signs. So it's going to go from -6 to +6. 0 is going to stay 0 because no matter what, 0 stays 0. All right, one more. So I'm flipping over the y-axis. Remember, that means y is going to stay the same. So I can type in 4. But x is going to flip signs. So it's going to become +5. All right, now I'm flipping over the x-axis. So x is going to stay -5. But y, or 4, is going to change to -4 because it's going to flip signs. All right, we did another one. Yay!